everyone. Welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and our weekly Cash or Trash, which apparently is now on Mondays because if we want to talk about the two lists that we've been talking about now for about 2 years, I've been doing Cash or Trash. We have to do it on Mondays because the video is not coming out before then. I had a few people tailgating in here. We had DMD in here tailgating. I think he was referring more to the look back video than this one because we don't know what they're going to do. We're just talking about hot books of the moment, so they're probably not down. We got GT Key always hanging out early. What is going on, my friend? We had Unruly Simeon in the house. Matthew is here with me right now. What is up? Hope you're having a good evening, my friend. So yeah, we're going to do what we always do. So to anyone who is new to the channel, what is Cash or Trash? This is the video where we look at the hot comics of this week and make predictions sure to go wrong. As all of you probably know, on Saturdays, I put out a look back video where I look back at the hot comics from 6 months ago that were on the CBSI Hot Top 10, the Comic Tom Key Collector Hottest Trending Comics of the Week, and we see how they performed in the market since they were hot in that moment, since everybody wanted them, and how are they performing since then. This is the video where we look at the hot comics of this week and we make predictions for that video and longer term sometimes for the heck of it. And where's my man John? What is going on? It's the Mint. Yes, it is very much the Mint report because there's Captain Mint himself, the Unruly Simeon. What is going on? There's a couple keepers on Tom's list this week. We will see. We actually have 20 books to talk about. There were no overlap between the two lists this week. But before we get into those 20 books, how do I make my predictions? Well, let's just see. So I throw them into categories of what I think is generally going to happen with the books over the next 6 months. And sometimes we talk about longer term as well. It's straight cash on me. These are books we expect to continue to go up in value. Usually this is more of a longer term and not 6 month thing, but occasionally it's a 6 month thing. We got our worth it. These are books that are probably priced about right. If you buy in now, you're not going to do any worse probably in 6 months than you are right now. It is worth it. You might even gain a little bit if you buy in now. We got our I'll Be Backs. These are books, the flip side of that worth it coin. These are books that are also probably not that far off from where they should be. But if you're patient, you're probably going to be able to get a deal. So those are I'll Be Backs. We got our It's a Trap. These are books that are going to drop 30, 40, 50%. And we have multiples of these every week. These are books that are on the list because of some kind of news, some kind of hype. And they just are priced at a price they will not be able to sustain. And speaking of not being able to sustain, our last main category are the dumpster fires. These are books that are just way, way overhyped and overpriced at the moment because of whatever's going on in the news or in the market. Occasionally we'll throw in whatever. It's a book that this tends to be a Tom book. They like to put books on there that are selling a lot of copies but aren't really moving in value. So yeah, if it's a $5 book selling lots of copies, it's probably going to be a $5 book selling very few copies in 6 months. So yeah, whatever. We got occasionally we'll also throw in a Come On Man in there. So like, what are we even thinking? We know better than this. So those are our categories. We've got a few more people hopped in here. He Who Remains. What is going on? What is happening? Happy Monday to you. Oh, Jay Hood, where's my friend? What's going on? I need to touch base with you, but I am glad you are here. We got Deep House in the house. What is going on? And Signature King, what up, nerds? What up to you, my friend? I hope you are having a good Monday. Is that like a paradox or oxymoron? A good Monday, but occasionally I think it can be a good Monday. So, without further ado, let's dig into these 20 books because we got a lot of books to talk about. First up, we got Marvel Comics Super Special Kiss #1 from 1977. This is actually the second full appearance of Kiss in a comic. This is a weird one because they and apparently Stan Lee flew and took some of their blood and mixed it with the ink, which is just bizarre, but whatever. So this is a popular book for Kiss fans anyway. But this is hitting the list because Gene Simmons is starting some sort of production company that has nothing to do with the band. It has to do with producing shows and movies. And I don't understand why that's making this book jump, but raw copies are going for $300. Now, mind you, since the news, I went back and looked. It's only a couple of sales, which is a significant jump from where it was. It was like $100 to $150 book 2 weeks ago. Now there's a couple sales, $310, right in that range. 9.2 did go for $750. At the very most, this is absolutely. Where's my brain? Wrong thing. I can't find myself. A trap. I mean, there's nothing going on here. I get that it's somewhat hard to find book. It's a book that Kiss fans are kind of want anyway, but because he's starting a production company, what does that have to do with this? He's not. Kiss isn't start coming back. They're not starting. They're not starting making Kiss movies or anything else. Yeah, I know. Like, this is not something new. Yeah, it is a very Kiss thing to do. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything here personally. I would expect this to be back where it was at, which is a fairly valuable book. $100, $150 for a raw copy before this all went down. So it's a book with value. People want it, but it's not this crazy value for sure. Oh, if all of us have a story like that, Deep House gave away a book that we shouldn't have. All of us do. By Merker. There you go. Better story for sure. Next, we got G.I. Joe Transformers #1. And so this is hitting the list because there's some sort of rumor going around that there's going to be a crossover between these two, some sort of movie crossover, except there's actually, even Tom said they couldn't find any news on this, but there was a whole bunch of spike in sales. But here's the thing. And with Beast Wars coming out, people are specking on this again, I guess. They fought Dr. Doom. Oh my gosh. That should not have been a fight, but whatever. So I guess that's where people are coming out with it. But here's the thing. It's going for $3, which would like $3 average sales, which is strictly whatever. But 9.8 on that going for 100. That seems like a lot. So we're going to put that in I'll Be Back, although I'm tempted to move that one to a trap as well. But seeing as it's a $3 book and vast majority of sales are those raw copies, we're just going to leave it as an I'll Be Back or whatever. If you buy it right now, you're probably not going to do any better, do that bad, but I don't know why you would. Yeah, they've never made a good G.I. Joe movie. And really, how many of the Transformers movies are actually good? Not very. Not many. Yeah, that would be right there. All right, next we're gonna move into covers, and we have 9 covers this week because apparently that's all CBSI wanted to put on the list. So we got 9 covers. We're gonna move them fairly quickly. First up, we got Red Room, The Crypto Killers. #1. This is a Peach Momoko 1-25. I didn't know people chase Peach Momoko covers still. But this 1-25 is going for 30 to 35. So yeah, what do the rules say? It's not even double ratio. This is going to end up below ratio. This is a trap. There's no reason. It's Red Room. Although one of those Red Room covers that hit the list did okay. The others did not. And I don't expect this one to either. It's not going for that much. At 30 to 35, this is going to end up being a $15, $20 book, just below ratio. And yeah, that's what the rule. That's what it's at. I mean, that's just the pattern. So next, we're going to keep moving. We got Bunny Man. Here's a boom. No, Man Goat and Bunny Man. Man Goat and Bunny Man. 2023 special #1 is the actual title on this thing. It's another Dr. Seuss homage. They did one of these a few years ago. This is a Paul Green 1-10, going for $30 to $40. So if I didn't have the other, the pattern says a 1-10 going for triple to quadruple ratio is probably going to hold pretty well. And the history with this Bunny Man thing, this Man Goat and Bunny Man, the other Dr. Seuss variant they did, actually held pretty well. Not great, but it held pretty well. I would call this an I'll be back. I would be tempted to call this like a trap typically, but the history with these covers, these Dr. Seuss variants tend to do pretty well, actually hold up a little better than average. And the previous one of these actually held up better than would be expected. I can't really call this, worth it or anything like that. I still think it's an I'll be back. I still wouldn't go after it, but yeah, I mean, that is what Xenoscope is thirst traps. That's all. That's their entire business model, and that seems to have kept them in business. So there you go. Hey, Planet Arizona, what's going on? Day 2 of 11 days off. Good for you, for sure. So now we're gonna keep moving. We got Sonic the Hedgehog, number 60, the Natalie Fordrin, 1 in 10, going for 20. These Sonic covers have actually not done as well, generally. I think there's been like one of these that held really well. The rest have not. Plus, a 1 in 10 going for double ratio means it's going to be ratio. This is an I'll be back. It's actually, I put I'll be back, but this should actually be a trap in my description because, yeah, a 1 in 10 going for 20 means it's going to be basically ratio, which that's half price. That's a trap. So that's just, yeah, where it's at for sure. How do I grade books? I mean, I just look at them and estimate the grade best I can. You mean in terms of sending them off? Most of my books have been CGC, but occasionally I have CBCS. Don't say that to my nephew. He loves Sonic the Hedgehog. Next, we got Superman number 4, the purple foil variant, limited to 1,000. So apparently they've done a ton of these different color Superman variants, and you are not looking at this wrong. All the images I found have the S backwards, so I don't know if this is for Bizarro or what's going on here, but this is the purple foil, limited to 1,000, going for $50. And the thing is, so yeah, I guess this is Bizarro, so I just don't know for sure. Hey, we have a Bizarro cover. Look at me. Yeah, there you go. The thing is, these Superman foils like this with just the logo have actually done pretty well. We just had one we talked about that we did a look back on, and it had held really well. I would still put this as an I'll be back. I'm not going to put it as a trap. I'd put it as an I'll be back. Maybe I'm wrong. How many times can you do a foil logo variant in a different color? I guess maybe it's because it's the Bizarro one. Maybe I'm missing the boat here. I would be patient on this. I would look for a deal. Plastic King 2 foil covers. Oh, I know. They're going to do a ton of these. Well, they were successful, so they're going to keep doing them. Special version. Prince Basic. So, anyway, yeah. I would still put this in I'll be back. Maybe I'm wrong. The other foils like this, which are super simple, have done pretty well. I won't say really well, but have done pretty well. But yeah, I don't see it with this one. Maybe I'm wrong because it's a Bizarro thing. Maybe people do it. It's our 90s golden age, yeah. Next, we got Batgirls number 18, the Robbie Rodriguez 1 in 25. This is a graffiti variant, which tend to be somewhat popular. Obviously, but this 1 in 25 is only going for 40, so it's not making double ratio, which means, again, we've just talked about that. 1 in 25 that doesn't even make double ratio is going to end up right at ratio or below, and that means it is, as always, trap. And I like the Batgirls. I actually kind of like this cover, although I would not pay $40 for it. No way, shape, or form. I'm not even sure I'd pay $25. So there you go. But so yeah, I like the Batgirls. I like the series. I like this cover. I wouldn't pay $20 for it. So that's all you need to know. Next, we got an older cover making the list. We got not a good, but see, he arranged. Doesn't even think it's a good one. So there you go. We got Captain Marvel number 5 from 2014. The John Tyler Christopher. So doing a little negative space kind of thing, a little bit there, a little different than his typical Rocket Raccoon cover. This is hitting the list. obviously it's the cover, but it's also the recent Guardians movie bringing the attention to Rocket. Raw copies on this former 1 in 15 are averaging $100 right now. 9.8 going for $150. Okay, we just got away from the movie. There's a lot of buzz around Rocket right now. It is a cool cover. But what that tells me is one of two things. The raw copies are 100, 9.8s are 150, which means one of those things is not valued correctly, right? One of them probably is, and one of them is not. My guess is it's the raw copies that are not. That for $150 9.8 is usually about a $30, $40 raw copy. $100 raw copy is usually like a $300 9.8. That's just typically where things are at. So I would call this a trap on the raw side, but 150 for the 9.8 is probably worth it. That's just my expectation based on the way these usually go. Yeah, $100 ain't no way. He's passing. I mean, I think this book is pretty hard to find. This was a ratio back when ratios were just really starting to become a constant thing in 2014. But yeah, my logic here is really, it's an early JTC, 2014. So I would say, like I said, I think the Raws are probably overpriced at the moment because of the movie. My guess is they'll back up. The 9.8s will probably stay in this range. That's kind of where I would go with this. Next, we got Jabba's Palace, number 1, the Alex Maleev 1 in 25, Virgin variant. Up to, now this was on the list not a while ago. This is a 2023 book, but this was on the list previously. So it's been out for a little while. Raw copies on this thing going for $175 plus. I mean, I like this cover, but wow, that's a lot. Especially given that there's a trade dress you can get for 10 to 15. I mean, trade dress still goes for a decent amount for a newer book, but it's like $10, $15. Am I wrong? It's just not been out. I feel like I've seen this cover before. I know people like it a lot. I don't think I like it $175. I wanted to put Trap on this. I really did. But given how much this is going, a 125 going for this much, I think it's going to hold pretty close. But I would still think it's an I'll be back. I think you come back later. I think you do better. That's just my personal opinion on this. Is I would be patient on this. I think this has got to be near the ceiling on this sucker. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll continue to go up and it'll be one of those $300-$400 books. I don't see it, but hey Matthew, what's going on? Let's see. A cover I can appreciate. There you go. Man, pretty, but Star Wars, so man. Yeah. Yeah, 175 just seems a little much for me. All right, next, we got a book that was on the list last week. We got Silk, number 1. And I talked about this one last week. Last week, I talked about it. That was basically setting, it's a 125. It's David Nakayama. And it was setting basically right at double ratio. And double ratio meant, okay, it's going to back up, like I said, generally. But I thought this was a prime candidate to do the second week crazy jump that we occasionally get. It's the second week that a book really takes off. And I even talked about it last week, which if they did that, then my last week's prediction was all wrong. That is the case. This did the second week crazy jump. It is now $100 to $125 book, which means it ain't going back to ratio. But we also know that second week peak tends to be too high, right? Basically, we get the first, which means the first week you did really well. The second week's too much. It usually ends up between the first and the second week, which means I would put this as an I'll be back. Now, what's really crazy is occasionally we'll get a third week. We'll get a jump again the third week, which would take this to like a $200 book, which means then it's going to end up around where it's at right now, probably. But it's always about wherever that highest peak is. It's always going to settle underneath there. But this one I thought was a candidate for the second week jump. it did it, which means obviously my prediction of it, I'll be back. Or yeah, I think it said I'll be back because I thought it would hold. I might even said worth it last week. I forget now. Well, I can look. Hang on. What did I say last week? I said I'll be back. So that's clearly wrong. This would be one. I would still be patient on it. My guess is this is too high. Good for you. Yeah, the second phase of FOMO really kicked in on this one. There's very few silk covers that really hold a ton. Like the only one that really holds really well is this one. There's a couple others that do pretty well. There's the hip hop variant does pretty well, but yeah. Yeah, I'm waiting for the dip on this. I don't know if it's going to dip that much, though. My guess is it's still going to be closer to 100 than it is going to be 30 that these guys got it for. So, all right. But yeah, I kind of want this one, too. I'm a big fan of Silk. I love some of her covers. There's a couple other covers of hers that I've been waiting on that actually now's a better time to go buy that I haven't gotten, that have been out for a while. All right, next, last of our covers, Spider-Man number 7, the Humberto Ramos second print, 1 in 25, Virgin. So we got this was a variant, obviously, on the first print with the trade dress that everybody goes crazy for. This is the second print Virgin of the first Spider-Boy. This 125, going from 40 to 50, but it's really based on the first appearance and not on the cover itself. The other thing is, so 40 to 50 tends to mean it's going to back up. I personally am not one of those that really thinks second prints are for really first appearances. For me, the cover's got to be special. But the thing is, you can get this cover on the first print. It just has the trade. I would much rather have that first print trade than this. So to me, this seems, I put this in, I'll be back. The other thing is, how much do we really believe in Spider-Boy in 6 months? I mean, they got a story arc in mind for him, but I would be patient on this sucker. I don't think there's any, I'll believe in Spider. There's too many Spider people that have come and gone that haven't amounted to anything. I would not chase this right now. Yeah, you definitely snagged a couple of these. So, yeah, another Spider character. Imagine that. Oh, how many Spider characters do we really have room for? Well, apparently, since they don't tell good stories with Pete anymore, maybe we got room for one more because they might as well stop writing about Pete because they clearly treat him like crap. There you go. All right, next. We're out of our covers, but we're still talking Spider-Boy. We got Comic Buzz, Spider-Man number 7, first appearance of Spider-Boy, really hitting the list because that second print came out this week. That's really why we're hitting the list here. Reminded people about this book. Raw copies are going for $15, 9.8, $80 to $100. But if you watch Tom's video, there's almost 2,000 of these already on the CGC census. It's insane. 9.8s are going to be a dime a dozen on this. The market is going to be flooded with 9.8s. Flooded with 9.8s of these first Spider-Boys. Because people went nuts, sent them in. It's going to be flooded. If you got them and you're trying to sell them, I'd be moving them as quick as I can because this book is going to go down, in my opinion. I would put this as the very least as I'll be back. I would be very surprised if a 9.8 of this book is more than $50, $60 in 6 months. I just think the market's going to get flooded with them because everybody and their brother is going to be sending them in to get it. I really think so. I think you got a better chance with the Ramos trade dress one that we just talked about as being the one that might actually hold, but I would guess all the other covers, 9.8 or not, are not going to hold up very much value. Yeah, close to 1,800 on the census already. Yeah. Hey, Kachung, what is going on, my friend? Jeezy, crazy, what is happening? Yeah, plastic already flooded. Yeah, it's already flooded. Raws are still selling pretty well. There you go. You need an Oprah meme. Everyone gets a smile. That's not a bad idea. Actually, do I have that one? I might have that one. Yeah, there you go. It's more of you get option, but in this case, everybody gets the Spider Boy. So, hey Phil, what's going on? What was her name? I already forgot. She was the main villain of this whole thing, and she made such an impression. I've already forgotten. Like a wasp god or something. I forget now. Somebody else will remember that. Yeah, the moth is cool. I just can't. She was actually a fairly decent villain. I just don't remember her name already. Yeah, it is something like that. Shathra or something. Yep. Deep House is on it. All right, we're gonna keep moving. Mothra. All right. Next, we got Wolverine #1. First appearance of Wolverine. So this is kind of weird. Appears to be hitting the list because Frank Miller put out a really awful Wolverine cover. If you've watched Frank for the last several years, I feel bad for this. Like, there's this whole controversy about, like, people are just crapping on his art at this stage. The man he's an old man. He doesn't draw like he used to. He just doesn't have the ability. He still draws better than I could. Not even probably. I could. He draws better than I could. I think it's crap that people are ripping on an old guy who's still wanting to put out covers and being like, I think it's crap. Yeah, I get if you don't like his style from back in the day. He's very hit or miss for me. Like, I love this series. I think he does really good art here. I think his Daredevil stuff is really good art. I never enjoyed the art in Dark Knight Returns. I never thought it was very good art. Never did. So I get why he's hit or miss for stuff. But yeah, his skills have deteriorated, but there's no reason to like crap on a dude. Like, either you enjoy what you like it or you don't. Yeah, he's a living legend. Still better than life. Well, yeah, that doesn't take much. But anyway, it's caused a resurgence in sales of this book. As a result of this, the first solo Wolverine. Raw copies averaging around 150, 9.8, 550 to 725, all the way up to 725 this week. There was also recently he did a signing recently. This is probably an I'll be back because there's buzz. It's kind of got it artificially up just a touch from where it normally sits. So to me, it's an I'll be back. But like, if you want to argue this is worth it, I wouldn't argue with you too hard. But more than likely, once we get away from this book will settle kind of where it usually sits, which is not much lower than this, but is a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been well, I don't think, for a while. I'm sorry, but like the way he draws Superman in that book, and like some of the characters, I don't particularly enjoy that art. Like, I love the writing. The writing is fantastic. The art is one of the main reasons I like Year One more than Dark Knight Returns. I'll just be honest. It's not that so yeah, for sure. Well, I never enjoyed JR that much anyway. All right, next. Hey Kenneth, what's going on? We got the Ambassadors #2. So this book's a little hard to find. And the second print came out and caused people just to jump on this. This series apparently has some buzz. Not sure otherwise, other than just it's a little bit hard to find, and people are jumping on this series. $20 to $30. I don't care how hard it is to find. The series is going to have to sustain those kind of prices. This is an I'll be back for sure. I mean, okay, there are panels within that run that are amazing, but on the whole, it's not super consistent, and I don't think the quality holds up. Like, I don't think the fight between Bruce and Clark is drawn very well. I'm sorry, I don't. Hey Perry, what's going on? Yeah, Millar never holds. He has some good stuff, but it doesn't usually hold value. So I would be back on this one. Next, good grief, we still got a bunch of books left, and I'm way into my time. Star Wars Thrawn, number 1, first solo and origin of Grand Admiral Thrawn. Obviously, the 94 book or whatever from Heir to the Empire. And this is all based on news that the Dave Filoni movie that he's doing for Star Wars is going to be kind of the wrap-up of the Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Ahsoka period that they're doing 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and it's going to be called, the rumor is it's going to be called Heir to the Empire. Obviously, Thrawn is the big bad they're setting up for this. So yeah, causes this book to hit the list again. $20 raw sales, 9.8, 170, still about half of what it was a couple years ago when we first got rumors of the Ahsoka show and that he was coming back. I love the character. The character is a great character. I actually have a couple copies of this book. Unfortunately, when neither of them are high grade or 9.8 grade. But at 20 and 170, and with all this coming right now, this is probably worth it. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would guess this is probably worth it. My dog is not very happy with me at the moment. I may try to let him in, but I'm afraid he'll just bark the whole time. But he's barking in the hallway at the moment, so we'll see. Next, we have Lethal Protector number 2, and this might be one of the dumber specs we've ever talked about. The working title for Venom 3, which, do we need a Venom 3 after Venom 2, after Venom 1? But apparently we're getting it, whether we want it or not, is the Orwell, as they've started shooting. So that's the title they're using. So apparently there's a first appearance of a character in this book called Orwell Taylor that I never even heard of before. That tells you how good a character that is. And I read a lot of Spidey stuff. But people are chasing this because of that. Raw copies, $8, 9.885. Don't do it. Come on. Don't do it. Just don't. At the very least, I'll be back because it's not going for very much. So it might not turn into a trap. But yeah, don't do it. All right, next. Oh, my poor puppy. Yeah, let's see. Uncanny X-Men number 239. See if I can get him to come in here. Just lay down for a minute. Come on. You can come back in here. First cover appearance of Mr. Sinister. Second full appearance. First Madeline Pryor as Goblin Queen. And this is also super dumb to me because this is all based on the High Evolutionary did genetic manipulation, so they're gonna do that with Mr. Sinister. What? It makes no sense. He's gonna be in that cartoon, the animated series, yes, but yeah, it'd be nice if Sony would sign the Spider-Man rights over to Disney. That would be great. Yeah, if you want this book, get it for Madeline. I mean, it's a solid book, but I wouldn't be chasing it while other people are chasing it. Right now, raw copy's $35 average, 9.8208. I would put this also as an I'll be back. I don't think we're getting Mr. Sinister anytime soon. I don't think he'll be the first villain they do, X-Men villain they do in the MCU. I would be very surprised if that was the case. This is an I'll be back. Oh, you're okay. No whimpering. All right, 3 more books to go. I know. Captain America, number 310. First appearance of the Serpent Society. So people are specking we're going to get the Serpent Society because Henry Rollins was dressed in a green costume on the set of Captain America 4. I swear we'll jump on anything. But it would not surprise me if he is a Serpent Society member. And we don't get him but I think it's going to be like the Batroc, the Leaper thing with George St. Pierre and that we got at the beginning of Civil War. I think it's going to be somebody we seen fighting early in the movie. It's not going to be a main baddie. If this is really where they're going, I would come back on this book for sure. We're a long way from New World Order at this point. It's only going for $12, 9.6, 185, which seems really high. But this is another one I would put as an I'll be back for sure. On New Mutants 2 with Mr. Sinister. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I know. Oh my gosh. Would have been terrible. Yeah. This is terrible. This is bad spec. Even if he appears, it's bad spec. Yeah. Hulk 4. All right, next got Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., #1 from 1968. Kind of the first solo Nick Fury. This is the, well, at least where it's his title, I guess. Steranko goodness right here. And this obviously is because of we're getting Secret Wars. Or Secret Invasion here in a month. Starts next month. That's what the spec is about. Tom put this down as an average of $370. No. Raw copies are $50 to $75. And then slabs are going for various slab rates. You got to ignore, this is one of those old books that you got to ignore Tom's average sales. 50 to 70, 175 for raw copies. And I think this is absolutely a trap. We're going to be way away from the series in 6 months. This is probably about it for Sam Jackson as Nick Fury. Yeah, this is a trap. I would come back on this all day. Percy dog. Sorry, my dog's going a little crazy. All right, last book. Tales to Astonish, #46. First appearance of Kraglin, with Sean Gunn played a big role in Guardians 3, causing this book to hit the list. Again, Tom put the average at $415. That is not what's happening. Raw copies are $30 to $100. 9.0 going for $960. There's just not very many sales, and a couple of them are fairly high grade slabs. So I guess that's where they're getting that $415 from. I don't know. But here's the thing. Do we think Kraglin's good spec at this point? The Guardian series with James Gunn directing it is over. James Gunn's gone to DC. How much do you think they're going to use Sean Gunn and Kraglin going forward? They're not. This is absolutely a trap, if not a dumpster fire. I mean, come on. Do we really think we're going to ever see Kraglin again? Maybe. I mean, they might not get rid of him. He's kind of a fun character, a little bit of comic relief. But, yeah. Yeah. Come back much later. Yeah, taking a straight cloud to DC. There you go. You're okay, Percy. All right. With that, I don't know what's going on with him. He's just all fired up at the moment. So yeah. So that's our list this week. Oh, move the camera. Sorry. I just ran a Gilmore Girls. Basically, yeah. Come on, man. It was kind of a weird list this week. We had a ton of covers that probably aren't going to do very well. And then we had very weird, eclectic Marvel spec. My dog's making all kinds of noise. I apologize for that. I'm going to let you guys go. But I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. That is Cash or Trash for this week. It appears it's going to be a Monday show going forward. Because Tom's putting out his videos late night, Sunday night, early Monday morning. So for now, this is what we're doing. I want to thank you guys for hanging out, and we will catch you next time. Later. If I can find the outro. There's the outro.